And we're back
with part 4 and our final part of this week's YAWA, which means...
If you haven't seen part 1, 2, or 3...
subscribe and go to our playlist so you don't miss the rest of them.
Yeah, look for them. Part 1, 2, and 3. I don't think they're labeled part 1, 2, and 3, but we do have this all available.
Just watch them all.
Yeah,
just watch them all.
Just watch all the videos. Look at all those videos.
So we've got a lot of questions to get through that I want us to be able to answer in this part. So we're going to get started.
Here we go.
From Alicia Nagyeton, maybe.
Okay.
On Instagram. I'm getting an 8-week-old GSP next month, and I'm debating on whether I should use puppy pads overnight, keeping her crate door open into her exercise pen lined with puppy pads to help potty train her, or if I should just set my alarm and wake up to take her outside every couple of hours, which is best. Don't do the puppy pad thing, would be my recommendation.
I'm going to go with probably not the puppy pad thing.
And I wouldn't necessarily have to say set your alarm. I would say put your puppy to bed at a reasonable time, 9, 10 o'clock at night, after they've had a chance to play and burn off some energy, train, go to the bathroom. Hopefully you fed early enough that they've had a chance to get their peeing and pooping done. Then put them to bed, let them calm down, and then if they start whining, 3 or 4 hours later, those first few nights you might want to get up with them, give them the opportunity to go to the bathroom, then back in their crate to go back to sleep. But then eventually you're going to want to help them be able to extend the amount of time that they can stay in their crate without crying and without needing to go to the bathroom. Don't set your alarm and say, well, they're only going to be able to hold it for 3 hours and then wake them up. If your puppy's sleeping and they may sleep through the night, just let them. And if they start whining and letting you know, hey, 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. is just a little too long for me, and they start waking you up at 3 a.m., that's when you go let them out. But don't do the puppy pee pad thing, because that's never going to encourage them to have that bladder control that they're going to need and develop, as well as if you give them free access into an extra space, they are really going to fight and battle being crate trained.
Yeah, and you could just wake up to pee pads ripped up everywhere.
Well, there's that. So,
yeah.
Good question.
It is a great question.
And people ask that all the time, so don't feel like...
Well, and to just the smidgen to add to that, we've actually had somebody, he reached out and said, all right, so my puppy is now 3 months old or something. So they've had the puppy home for about a month. And said, when can I stop getting up every 2 to 3 hours to let him out? And it's like, whoa, buddy. That's usually like the first couple days. Yeah. Hey, putting in a valor effort there. But, and that's the thing, is anything that your dog's doing, they're conditioning themselves to. So while we want to be available to help let them out to, kind of build off of good behaviors, let's let them kind of try and make that call by saying, hey, I need to pee, not, hey, mom wakes up every night at 3 o'clock to let me out to pee.
And we have to have reasonable expectations. So your puppy being able to hold it all night long, though some puppies are going to be able to, not all puppies are. So if they can't make it the whole night, yeah, you're going to have to get up and let them out until they've got better bladder control and a more developed bladder. But then pushing them a little bit by saying, whine for a little bit and see if you can fall back asleep. And then I'll let you out when my alarm goes off at 6. And then check their towel. If they had an accident, then you go, they're not quite ready for it. And let them out when they cry. Yep. So, good question.
Great question. It's a great question.
Next question from Allie Suze on Instagram. Did a no-no. Got littermates. Saw your video on reasons not to do that a little too late. Pups are now 12 weeks old. Question is how to stop the rough play. We try distracting them, but they go right back to wrestling and biting each other.
You have to keep them 100% separated. Pretty much the only answer.
At least for a while. I mean, it's not like you're going to have each of these dogs for 12, 15 years and they never get to interact and play with each other.
Through development.
Through development, it's going to be really important to separate them as absolutely much as possible, so they don't have that opportunity for the rough play where what's going to happen is one is going to establish dominance over the other, and then they're going to think that that's the okay way to play and interact with each other and with other dogs.
And it sounds borderline unrealistic or impossible, which is a big part of why we recommend not doing it. But
sorry you didn't see the video until too late, but if you put in the time, effort, and energy now and do as much separation as you can and train separately and give them outside playtime separately, after they get through that development stage, I would say probably, how old do you think you could?
Year?
I was going to say maybe 9 months if you put in a lot of obedience training.
Yeah, it just comes down to evaluating them. They're going to go for runs together and everything else, but you have to, if they're going to be hunting dogs and they're just running and tagging or jumping on each other and whatever, they're not thinking about hunting either. And so it's anything that they're doing.
We refer to that as playing grab ass.
Yeah.
Just running around, chasing each other, biting each other on the ears and butts and tails and necks. And
it's going to be a conditioned behavior. So you're going to need to either find time to run them individually or run them with other dogs so that they can, learn the proper way to interact, which is they need to go hunt and they need to do that. Now, if they're just being puppies and family companions and adventure dogs and whatever else you do, those things aren't going to be as big of an issue, but still anything they're doing, they're conditioning themselves. So it's good that you recognize this rough play now is not ideal. Keep them separate, train them separate, work them separate, interact with them separate.
And build as much obedience as you can so that you can get them to the point where they can both be out on dog beds and not roughhousing together.
Yep. The better job you do conditioning that they don't constantly just attack each other, the faster it'll go away. So,
good question.
Have fun. Keep us posted. And a really good place to keep us posted would be patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. It's our online training community set up to go hand in hand with all of the video content that we put out. You can try it at home and then video it and send it to us, and I will watch them. I do them every single day. Rarely, on a small occasion, do I not get to them every single day. And then I answer directly what you're having issues with and how to kind of work through that. So.
And since you've got littermates, I would imagine and assume that you're going to have a few questions and issues arise. So might be a good resource for you.
We'll see you on Patreon.
Next question, which is a fun one. That's why I have my dry erase board.
Rock and roll.
My question is about GSP genetics regarding color. Is there any genetic problem breeding black to black? Will you get liver puppies in a black on black litter? Will you get black puppies in a liver on liver litter? So I'm going to revert back to biology in high school and draw out a Punnett square. If you guys know what a Punnett square is, can remember that?
They're alike.
Put it in the comments. Do the things. So it kind of looks like a tic-tac-toe board when you do it. So I got my genetic board here. So we're going to talk about black puppies. It's a tic-tac-toe. It's tic-tac-toe. Yeah. So we're going to talk about black puppies to black puppies, which if you're talking about the black coloration, it is the dominant gene. So we're going to go with B and a big B and a little B.
Don't you normally erase that? That's not how you do that. Erase it.
What are you doing?
You do them like this. It's a Punnett square. You make a square, and then you write on the top of it.
Oh, okay. We're erasing it because it's a... No, we're not erasing it. We're erasing yours. Here, I'm making my square for Ethan. There. And big B.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah. I don't like that. So then you bring your letters down. So you're going to have two big B's here.
You're missing your mic. There you go.
Sorry.
You're right.
Two big B's here, a big B and a little B here, a little B and a big B here, and a little B and a little B here. So I'm going to quick fill those in. Why don't you talk about why we typically don't breed two black dogs together?
So there's a couple different things that happen with your dogs. I think there were multiple questions to answer them specifically. If you have a black dog and they're bred to another black dog, the question would be if they're heterozygous black dogs, which would be
big B, little B.
Big B, little B. It's carrying
which
means
is what
they're
that
black.
is.
Yep, but carrying the recessive liver gene. They have the potential, if bred to another heterozygous black dog, to throw the color liver, which is the little b down here. Now, how that works, this would be what the probability is for each and every single individual puppy. You have a 25% chance that the puppy will come out liver. You have a 75% chance that the puppy will come out black. And in that 75% chance, 25% of that is that the puppy will come out homozygous black. That's where the potential issue could arise. Now, there are a lot of people that say, oh, this can be fixed with one generation or whatever with breeding back to a liver dog and so on and so forth. But ultimately, homozygous black dogs, are only going to produce black dogs.
And the reason that there's a potential issue for this is, as breeders, we are seeing a huge trend towards, I want a black puppy. I want a black male. I want a black female.
No real reason for it other than
they
color.
think that it's pretty. And then there's a lot of other breeders that we've heard of recently, maybe not as big time breeders, but they've got a few dogs and they're going, black is super popular. We want to produce as many black puppies as possible. 75% of a litter sounds like a good number of black puppies. Let's breed 2 black and white dogs together. And then you get this. So you've got, like Ethan was saying before, the 2 big Bs, because you had a black homozygous dog, even bred to a regular black dog, you're going to get more homozygous black dogs, as well as these dogs will all be black. Even if you say, hey, I need a little eraser thingy. I'll use my finger and mom spit. I hear that that's good for like everything.
You just magically got it too.
Okay, so even if we breed our homozygous black dog now to a liver dog, which would be little b, mm-hmm. Every single dog will be black. See that?
Mm-hmm. Now, the last option and the
reason that we don't want so many black dogs becoming part of the potential gene.
Spit here.
Yeah. Dad's spit, I'm sure, works just as good. But the potential problem with breeding black dogs to black dogs and then having homozygous black dogs that are also breeding more dogs is you're going to move this direction of where are the liver dogs? And there is definitely a reason that there are multiple colors in the gene pool for short hairs. And if you didn't know, there used to be a 3rd color of short hairs. Red. And
we should have totally used that. People to guess, put it in the comments below and win something.
We ruined it. But we don't want to happen to liver dogs what happened to red dogs in the short hair gene pool, where they cannot be found, because there are characteristics that liver dogs have that are important as well, including simple things as like expression. So if you look at dark black dogs, sometimes their eyes get so dark that they just like look like these black holes.
It's a balancing act, because the liver dogs, you can end up with 2 light of colored eyes, and the black dogs, you can end up with 2 dark of colored eyes, and you either have too much expression or lack of expression. You almost get like a ghostly feel or this blacked out demon feel. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So then the last of the options would be you end up with 2 homozygous black dogs and you breed them together. And then what do you have? You have an entire litter of homozygous black dogs. And these little homozygous black dogs run everywhere. And the more that becomes more and more popular, the people that have said, oh, it only takes 1 liver dog to fix this problem.
Well, then there's no liver dogs left.
There aren't any liver dogs left. So now what do you have? You have a German black-haired, short-haired pointer things. German black short. I don't know.
And I know that Ethan said that this is the last option, but we didn't really truly go over liver dogs to liver dogs. And that would be little b, little b, little b, little b. And they all are liver.
Yep. So this is a question that gets asked, and it goes hand in hand with this, but can you breed 2 liver dogs together and get black dogs? Absolutely not. Can you breed 2 black dogs together to get liver dogs? Yes, if they're heterozygous black dogs. So absolutely fantastic question. And now you can see, hold that up one more time. This is how you're supposed to draw your Punnett squares there.
I like
it's
my
a square.
tic-tac-toe look a little bit better.
It's a square. Yeah.
Okay. Well, next question from, I'm just ignoring his comment and moving on to the next question. Michelle Leach from
Kettle House.
Facebook.
Thanks, Rob.
Hello, I have a 12-week-old GSP and his tail tip is just a scar. It drives me completely nuts looking at it as I don't believe the hair will grow back to cover it.
It won't.
Can you talk about different docking techniques and which one is your favorite for minimal scarring?
We tie the tails, and we actually have a video showing exactly how we do this and another one coming out shortly-ish. So, the tying of the tails, it involves an elastic cord. You tie them, they're banded then, and they fall off in 3 to 5 days, depending on how snug you got them and how small the puppy are. They seem like they do a little better if they're on we usually dock between 3 and 5 days. And if they're closer to that 3-day mark, they fall off a little faster. If they're to the 5-day mark, they fall off a little slower, but they all heal about the same, which is a scar that is virtually impossible to find in the hair. And all of the other methods that involve cutting and sewing and
or gluing
and stuff, mom usually messes with them and they don't heal right and you end up with a scar, just like what you're talking about. Now, there is pretty much no way to grow the hair back.
Sorry.
The only thing that you could potentially try, which is a long shot, would be to use some form of hair regrowth stuff. I know they make it for
horses, typically.
Primarily market it to horses.
For like their mane and tail, because long flowing manes and pretty tails are definitely something that is sought after in the horse world.
Yeah, one of the products is called Corona.
Yeah, I know.
And then another one is, I think it's called the mane and tail, maybe. And they have a whole line of shampoos and different ointments and stuff. So those would be a couple options.
Yeah, your puppy's only 12 weeks, so there's maybe more of a potential that hair could grow, but probably not.
So, unfortunately, that's what we know. Butt banding is what we always do. If you are a breeder, and this is why you're asking, or if you know someone, that would be something to definitely recommend. Check out our video. Pretty much anybody can do it. It's fairly easy and foolproof.
Next question from Lydia Hebner. I believe this was on Instagram.
I believe that I stamped a collar out for her.
We've been stamping a lot of collars. So Thank you for your business as well.
If this is in fact the right Lydia.
Is it common for potential buyers to come visit your facility and dogs? What are your thoughts on buyers visiting the litter prior to the going home date?
Aha.
So we do have a lot of clients that want to come out and visit us, visit our facility, meet the dogs, especially if they're getting a puppy from our program. Now, meeting the puppies prior to them going home, that's something that we don't typically do. Especially before the puppies are 6 weeks old. We want to make sure that they've had at least one round of vaccines. And again, it's not something we typically do with anyone, but you can always reach out to us and ask if the puppies have been over 6 weeks old and you are on that litter. We have made exceptions before.
Those were typically for people that weren't going to actually be able to make it to puppy pick out day, and they wanted an opportunity to get some interaction prior to making a pick with us. So, but yes, for the most part, no. Now,
but you can visit us in the facility and meet typically the
that
parents
aspect of it. 100%.
They're here at the kennel.
Yep, 100%.
Next and last question for the night. We have to get to this one.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. From Ryan Ritchie. I've got a question for you. We have chickens.
I got an answer for you.
How do I get my GSP to stop being so obsessed with them? Anytime we go out, he makes a beeline straight to the coop. I know he's a bird dog, but I don't see myself ever needing to hunt chickens. In fact, I'll probably never hunt with him anyway. Is there a way to break his obsession? This morning, I took one of the younger hens out of the coop for him to see up close. As soon as he saw it, he immediately tried to chomp it out of my hand. But I whopped him pretty good, and he never tried that again. And I let him sniff it and lick it.
Okay.
That may have been the wrong thing to do, but I want him to get used to them being here because I would like to have them free range.
Well, this may be the time for this week's of Ethan's unpopular opinions.
Brutally honest comments.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
Same
Whatever
difference.
we call it. Ethan's brutal. Whichever you like better, just let us know. But in this situation,
he's a bird dog. He's been bred to be a bird dog. They've got a lot of prey drive. They don't always have to be used to hunt. I mean, I definitely know of a lot of short hairs that live full, wonderful, great family lives being adventure dogs, but they do need a job. They do need something to do. And when they're given the opportunity to interact with those birds, even if they're not game birds, their prey drive is going to kick in. They're going to want to chase. They're going to want to chomp. They're going to want to be curious about them.
Yeah, could they learn? Yes, and I've seen it before that they've learned to like tolerate at best, but
or learn to leave them alone when mom and dad are
when
watching.
they're watching. Yeah, so but it is going to be a struggle, especially in the situation where you're already at, and you said it seems to be an obsession. Yes, and that comes from a game that can't be won, which right now is chase the chickens around the pen. He never catches them. They just jump and fly and do things, I'm assuming. And it's gonna be tough. The biggest thing that you could do is to put as little absolute emphasis on the chickens as possible, which would be redirecting focus anytime he thinks, maybe I'm gonna go check the chickens. No, you're not. You're gonna come back over here. You're gonna kennel up on your dog bed, or you're gonna hang out, or we're gonna do some other task that keeps you focused, not on the chickens. But as far as free ranging based on the personality of the dog that you're explaining right now, probably not going to happen unless you don't really care too much about losing a chicken
here and there
once in a while to semi-regularly.
I know one of the girls that works for us and has one of the short hairs from us. She also has chickens. Mm-hmm. And anytime her bird dog, short hair, is out in the yard and the chickens are around, the dog, Guts, is kenneled up on a dog bed or a place board because she is a bird dog and she's definitely being trained to be a hunting dog. And Jess understands that it's not fair to Guts to be like, yeah, you can't go after these birds and you can interact with them and not be interested in them. So she puts emphasis on obedience and allows Guts to have a specific place that she can still see what's going on and be part of being out in the yard, but can't go chasing chickens willy-nilly and catching them and doing what she's been bred to do, which is be a bird dog.
Excellent. And the unpopular opinions thing that the reason I said that, there's actually, and you'll have to find this, just search it. It's
producer.
It's a British maybe, or maybe even Canadian, something. It's a
So
YouTube
you're saying
show.
they have an accent?
Well, it's some kind of an accent, but it's funny too, which that's where a lot of the good comedy comes from. It'd be and the guy sings this song, it's like unpopular opinions. That it's something about you. This is an unpopular opinion that up until now you haven't even said, or something like that. And they say, the guy comes on the phone. He's like, people that drink coffee are weak.
That's an unpopular opinion.
Well, I mean, if you like coffee and I tell you that you're weak because you say you want a cup of coffee because you're tired or whatever, it's. Anyhow, there's a show. That's where that comes from. Check it out.
We digress.
Yeah, we've done digressed. Thanks everybody for watching. This is all the time that we have. I am out of beer and we're out of time. I'm the guy with the pink gun.
And I'm Kat, the dog trainer.
And we'll see you next week. Roll the outro.
I want to push the button. Is it the middle button?
Uh-huh.